you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. We heard our daughter giggling, then a man's voice whispering her name. We hadn't even moved in with her yet. The moment we stepped barefoot onto the pale oak floors of our new house, my husband, Dan and I felt a thrill. The house was ours, freshly painted, 5 bedrooms, a nursery already fitted with pastel wallpaper and a brand new crib. We were eager to bring our newborn daughter, Emily, home from the hospital and start our new life as a family. We spent that first evening settling in. Dan mounted floating shelves in the nursery. I tested the baby monitor app on my phone. Everything glowed with promise. The app interface was sleek. Live video in daylight, audio at night, motion alerts straight to my wrist. I tapped the test button. A soft click, a breath of static. "Hello?" I said into the nursery. "Is this working?" Silence. Perfect. Until later, at exactly 2:02 a.m, when the tranquility cracked like a dropped teacup. We brought the 5-bedroom colonial in a sleepy Massachusetts suburb from the Wilson family, retiring empty nesters eager to downsize. They left behind Emily's nursery, duck-egg blue walls, white wainscoting, a mobile wooden star spinning lazily over the crib. The listing improvised, move-in ready. All we needed was to bring our daughter home. The closing was seamless. We took possession on a Friday, hired a cleaning crew by Monday, and planned the nursery install on Tuesday, just 3 days before my maternity leave ended. Dan worked from home that week, setting up our office in the former den, while I sorted cloth diapers and stuffed animals. That final Thursday night at 9 p.m, we unpacked Emily's things. We plugged a monitor into the outlet by the crib. The app registered, nursery camera, online. A green light blinked on the monitor unit, casting a gentle circle of illumination. I tested every feature. Live video, crisp. Audio, clear. Motion alerts, on. Satisfied, I slipped the phone into my pocket, kissed Dan goodnight, and retreated to our bedroom, just down the hall. Tomorrow, we'll bring Emily home. It felt like the miracle had already begun. At 2:02 a.m, my phone buzzed. A motion alert from the nursery. I sat bolt upright, heart racing. Was Emily awake already? She'd only been out the womb for 2 days. Surely not. I unlocked the phone, opened the app. The video feed triggered, and I peered at the crib. It was empty. "Emily?" I whispered. No answer. The app's audio meter bounced slightly, indicating a sound. I tilted my phone to record. First, a soft giggle, tiny, high-pitched, like a toddler delighted by a game. Then, overlaid, a low, rasping whisper. "Emily, wake up." The voice was deep, the vowel drawn out, distorted as though it was rooted for a cheap voice changer. The laughter repeated, then the whisper. "Emily, wake up." I clicked to record the audio. The meter spiked, then silence. The app's video froze for 2 seconds before resuming, still showing an empty nursery. I stumbled into the nursery at 6:30, bleary-eyed, to see if Emily's monitor was on the wrong channel. The previous owners had confessed their router password stored on a post-it behind the smoke detector. Maybe the monitor app had inadvertently linked to another device on the same network, an old camera left in a closet, or a neighbour's baby monitor spectrum bled through. I scrolled the app's linked devices list, only the nursery unit, no other cameras, no old accounts. I texted Dan. Baby monitor acted weird last night, giggling, whispering, might be router bleed. Check network when you get up. He replied, on it, but if it happened again, let's not ignore. He He found the Wilson's old router entry still stored on his laptop. No secondary SSID, no hidden network. He removed that entry, changed our Wi-Fi credentials, rebooted the monitor. I tested the feed streams, then deleted all history. We fixed it, or so we thought. At 2:02 AM, exactly 24 hours later, my phone buzzed. Same motion alert, same timestamp. I shot upright, dread pooling in my stomach. I opened the app. My finger hovered over the video feed, praying for silence. Tap. The mattress squeaked as though someone sat on the edge of an unseen chair. The little gouge on the app shot to red. 002. Then laughter. Louder. More excited this time. It sounded like a child's giggle tracked over a delay. Ha 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 ha. Followed by a whisper. Emily. This time it said more. Emily, wake up. Come play. My chest constricted. I switched on the light and jiggled the monitor cord. The night vision camera revealed a perfect scene. Empty crib, shifting mobile, dust motes floating. But that sound. I grabbed the phone. I raced down the hall. I flung open the nursery door. Empty. The monitor lay on the shelf, cord snug. No evidence of tampering, no footprints, not even a mark on the upholstery. I paced, tears stinging. Could I have imagined it? Sleep deprivation, postnatal anxiety? Then on the floor, beneath the crib, a footprint in the dust. A single, small, barefoot print. I dropped to my knees and studied it. It was slender, childlike, about 5 inches long. I'd swept this floor a dozen times. The dust was a fine layer that would show footprints clearly. I snapped pictures, sent them to a local parenting group message thread, and practically threw myself back into bed. By morning, I resolved we would find the rational explanation. Armed with a new router password and a fresh monitor install, Dan and I dug through public records. We discovered that in 1987, a toddler named Emily Bradford lived in this house. My daughter's name. The Bradford case had made headlines. Emily, age 2, vanished from her bedroom late one night. Her parents awoke to an empty crib and mobile swinging. No ransom note. Search parties combed the area. The police found muddy footprints leading away, then lost the trail. Emily Bradford was never found. The case went cold. The local paper had published the Bradford nursery photos. Pink walls, same style of mobile. Not identical, but the same twirling stars design. The Bradford parents moved away. The house changed hands 3 times. No one ever remodeled the nursery, just plastered over with fresh paint when each occupant arrived. I felt the blood drain from my face. My own Emily was due at that crib by week's end. That night, we did not reinstall the monitor in the Bradford nursery. We moved it to Dan's office, logged out of the app, and vowed not to listen again. We placed a portable baby sound machine by the crib, a simple white noise unit with no network access. At 2:02 AM, Dan's phone vibrated. Motion alert. Office camera. Confusion and dread. We had no camera in the office. We opened the app. It switched to nursery camera online. The image was tiny, black and white, grainy. Even more terrifying, the audio meter jumped. We held our breath, though the static came. Soft giggle. Wake up, Emily Bradford. The voice was the same deep whisper, modulated low, older. Then it said, "Come find me." A second later, the app froze. We stared at the spinning circle. The timestamp blinked 2:03 AM. The silent video resumed. A perfect shot of the empty nursery with white noise machine humming at the crib's side. We dreaded every Wi-Fi credential that morning. We uninstalled the app, tossed the monitor. Then we called in a local security firm to scan for rogue cameras, hidden pinholes in vents, baby cam lenses behind light switches. They swept the walls, found no electronics, but in a supply closet they discovered an old white noise machine, unplugged, dusty, hidden beneath boxes. Its label read, Bradford Nursery, 1987. We'd never seen it. It must have fallen behind the shelf decades ago. A life-size vent cover was replaced. Inside, layers of insulation. No hidden cavity, no speaker, no recorder. Yet the whispers continued even without any network device. I began to suspect it wasn't technology at all, but something else. Something worse. We planned to stay elsewhere, slept at my parents' house across town, but Dan had a midnight call with his publishing client. He insisted we face this head on. I agreed. We positioned a portable digital recorder in the nursery, an unhackable standalone unit, switched it on, placed it on the dresser facing the crib. At 2:02 a.m, I held Dan's hand as we crept downstairs, listening at the stairwell. The nursery door was ajar, light spilling softly from the white noise machine. We heard no laughter, no whisper. Then from the recorder, crystal clear, "Emily, come play." I spun towards the door. It slammed shut with a thud. We bolted upstairs. The nursery was empty, crib, wallpaper and an old white noise machine. And on the shelf, curled in dust, lay an audio cassette tape labelled in faded ink. Emily Bradford, Last Lullaby, 10th of the 12th, 1987. Shaking, Dan pressed play on the cassette recorder. At first, just static, then a tiny voice, laughing, gurgling, unmistakably a toddler's, then a deeper breath, then a man's voice, the same whisper, "Emily, wake up." The same wavering, elongated vowel, then, "She's back." The tape hissed and ended with a single blood-curdling wail that shook the nursery's very walls. We fled at dawn, leaving the nursery intact, the tape and the white noise machine we donated to the local historical society's Bradford Cold Case exhibit. Friends, paranormal investigators, true crime podcasters have studied it. When played, the whisper always pauses exactly at 2:02 a.m. The laughter looped, laugh, wake up, laugh, then the final whisper, "She's back." We never stayed another night, yet every now and then I checked local real estate listings. That colonial still stands, pinkish blue nursery under fresh, move-in ready gloss. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it, but sometimes I replay that tape and I swear I hear Emily's giggle and a whisper telling me someone else is waiting. If you made it this far, maybe you're not like the others. Hit subscribe and I'll keep the stories coming. I found the surveyor's audio log under the floorboards and it ends with him screaming. Closing on our new home was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. After 5 years saving and scraping, Laura and I finally got the keys to the 1928 two-door on Elmwood Avenue. The real estate agent bragged about all original charm, the high ceilings, the leaded glass windows, and most exciting to me, the chance to gut and modernise while preserving character. 2 weeks later, we ripped our carpets, stripped wallpaper, and pulled up floorboards in the upstairs bedrooms. Beneath 4 layers of oak planks lay a hidden hatch, a square of warped pine, screwed tight and painted over. I pried it open half jokingly and found an old field recorder, dusty, battered, with a leather strap and metal tag, Lot 32 Survey, Field Log 004. Laura gasped, "That must have belonged to the surveyor who mapped this block." I nodded, but felt a chill. My heartbeat thumped as I pressed play on the recorder's single reel. The first 3 minutes were mundane. A man's voice, calm, clipped. May 12, 1974. Began survey of lot 32. Ground soft. Watch your footing. Check continuity of water main along eastern foundation. He rattled off measurements, angles, distances, like a metronome. I recognised the cadence, professional, unconcerned. Then, at 4:17 into the tape, the tone shifted. Tap the pipe junction. Yep, that's secure. Metallic knock. Then, huh? Hear that? He paused, shuffling. The knock came again. Dollar. Deeper, as though inside wood. Knock, knock. He whispered. That's not in my notes. My spine stiffened. The knock was clearly inside the house's wooden joists. I reclined against the removed floorboard, spinning the recorder. The surveyor sighed. Fine, let's follow the crawl space. He panned the mic as he climbed the narrow hatch, wood squeaking, dust puffing. I heard his boot tread, creak, then static, a soft clink, like metal hitting stone. Got it, junction box looks intact. He tapped a junction. A distant thump answered back, low and deliberate. He froze. You hear that? He whispered. The mic's ambient hiss rose. It's coming from the crawl. Below. The recorder wobbled with his heavy breathing. I paused the recorder, heart snared. I glanced around the open room. No crawl space in our plans. Only a deep, unfinished basement beneath the entire footprint. No hatch in the first floor living room. No secret cellar. The only hidden access was this tiny attic-like crawl above the second floor. I rose, closing the hatch gently, resolving to rationalise it later. But terror seeped in. What had he heard, and what happened next? I pressed play again. The surveyor's clear voice resumed. All right, I'm returning to the main hall. Must have been my radio. He clambered back, and you could hear the floorboard settle, then rattle. He froze mid-sentence. That's not my radio. Crunch. Wood splintering. What the? Then click. The tape wobbled. A gasp. Footsteps behind the hatch. Rapid, metallic clanging, like chains on pipes. He whispered, Jesus God. A muffled scream, ragged, desperate, erupted. Then the tape cut to static, loud and buzzing. After 10 seconds, a final, horrifying cry. No! Then dead silence. I sat clutching the recorder, pale in the dim unity light leaking through the hatch. The tape hissed. No background noise. My pulse thumped. A floorboard creaked behind me. Mine or someone else's. I dashed out to the living room, heart rattling. I bolted the door, turned every light on. The wood floors gleamed, no sign of disturbance except that hatch I'd closed. For 3 nights, I replayed the tape. Each time, I heard new details. A sob, a faint scrape against concrete, a final click, like a latch snapping shut. I pored over local archives. Lot 32 was sold in 1974 to a small surveying company, Preston and Dale. That field recorder belonged to Samuel Preston, who disappeared October 3rd, 1974, just 6 months after the survey. His truck was found idling at a quarry, keys still in the ignition. Inside, the recorder lay on the passenger seat, no notes in its log. Local newspapers mentioned Preston's fatal accident, but no body was discovered. The police report was brief. Presumed drowned, no foul play suspected. I sat back. A drowning? But the recorder's scream sounded more violent, more butchered than submerged. I braced myself for the full confrontation. In my office, I set speakers, dim lights, and pressed play. Minutes 0 to 5, survey instructions. Then 5 to 10, the first thump and whisper. Minute 10 to 15, scrapes and ranting. 15 to 20, Preston's final scream. 20 to 21, 10 seconds of static. Then 21 to 22, Preston's last word, marred and strangled. Help! Then the tape cut out. A sharp beep, not from the recorder, but from my phone. A motion alert. I froze. We lived on a dead-end street. Motion alerts were disabled. I checked anyway. A single white car parked outside. License plate unreadable. I raced outside in slippers, down the driveway. Found no car. But on my doormat lay the battered field recorder, tape still spinning inside. In horror, I picked it up. The recorder's counterflicked 22:37 and counting. The tape was playing on its own. I dropped it, skipped back to the start. May the 12th, 1974. I backed away. The recorder clicked through the survey instructions again, this time overlaid with unmistakable sound of my own footsteps approaching from upstairs and the faint, ragged sound of someone whispering, "It's my turn now." I sprinted inside, the tape still whirring outside, beckoning. I left the recorder on the porch, called the police. They found no recordings on my house network, no second recorder, no phone in service radius. I moved my office equipment out that week, but each night at 22:37, I awake to the faint hum of a tape, like someone rewinding. My dreams fill with a tinny echo. Check the pipe, check the crew, no, help. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. And sometimes, at exactly 10:37 PM, I still hear footsteps and a voice whispering, "Now it's my turn." If you made it this far, maybe you're not like the others. Hit subscribe and I'll keep the stories coming. We tore down the living room wall and found a fully furnished 1950s baby room. When my wife, Sam and I bought our fixer-upper on Maple Drive, the listing boasted original hardwood, abundant storage, room to grow. We dreamed of family dinners in the formal dining room, movie nights in the living room, and one day, a baby's nursery just off the master suite. 6 months into renovations, we were gutting the living room to open the floor plan. That's when our sledgehammer hit, thud, against a surface far deeper than mere plaster. Behind it, a brick wall, 4 feet thick, painted over to look like the rest of the room. We pried a corner loose and stepped into another world. The crew paused. The wall yielded in a perfect rectangle, tucked inside a fully furnished nursery, as if frozen in time. The air smelled of aged wood paper and mothballs. A tiny crib with 4 iron spindles stood against the far wall. Peeling wallpaper bore pastel teddy bears. A chipped wooden dresser sat beneath a small window. Dusty toys scattered around. A porcelain doll, a wooden pool toy, a faded storybook. I flicked on my phone's light. "Sam, come look at this." She climbed through the gap, gasped, then stepped back quickly, her face ashen. "This wasn't on any floor plans," she whispered. "We lived in this house for 6 months and never suspected a room existed beyond the wall. It had no door, only a sliding hatch concealed behind bookshelves in an adjacent study, now removed." That evening, we shifted through the nursery's contents. On the dresser, beneath a layer of dust, lay a small leather-bound diary. A child's scrawl on cover, "Mary's Room." Inside, dated September the 3rd, 1954. "I like Teddy. He doesn't talk back. Mother said he's my best friend. Father visits only at night. He whispers. Sometimes he cries." Flip to the last entry. September the 21st, 1954. "He's coming for me, Mary." The pages after were blank, some torn out. A chill pressed on my chest. Who was Mary? What happened to her? The next day, we headed to the county archives. Microfinch revealed a birth record. Mary Henderson, born May 1952, lived at this address until September the 22nd, 1954, when the Henderson family moved, listed as moved away, with no forwarding address, no obituary, no newspaper mention of tragedy, nothing on Mary's fate. Neighbours abutting our property owned their lot since the 70s and recalled a Henderson family who just disappeared one day. A vague rumour said Mary's father was abusive, that the mother left him and took the children, but no proof. We exchanged uneasy glances. The room felt less like a time capsule and more like a tomb. That night, sleep evaded me. Around 1:37 a.m, I heard faint sobbing, like a child crying. It echoed through the studs of the demolished wall. I jolted upright, heart thudding. Sam lay beside me, breathing softly. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. She stiffened. "I thought it was the HVAC, but there was no duct in the wall." The cry came again, a single, quivering sob, followed by the tinny chime of music box notes. "Rock-a-bye baby." I grabbed my phone and recorded audio. The lullaby melody paused mid-line, replaced by a low whisper. "Mary." My skin crawled. The following night, we boarded up the nursery access. We unhung new insulation, plaster, and a fresh drywall. We planned to forget the room existed. After all, it was clearly a bad memory, better off sealed. At 12:05 a.m, a slow creak, a hollow thud, as though someone sat in that tiny crib. Then another creak, thud. The sliding hatch in the study rattled as if opening. We heard the wood scrape, inch by inch. Shh. The hatch clicked open. Then, unmistakable, a soft pat, pat, pat of tiny feet crossing the study floor. They padded towards the master bedroom doorway. I pressed my back against the mattress, breath tapped in my lungs. At 12:08 a.m, a child's laughter, echoing that filled the room. Then Mary's voice, frail and distant. "Will you play with me?" The laughter stopped. Silence pressed in. The next morning, Sam found a tiny shoe on our pillow, a delicate white Mary Jane, about Mary's doll size. No other shoes, no footprints in the dust, no hatch displaced. The walls were solid, the drywall unmarked. We brought the shoe to the police station. They checked missing children's records. No match. The shoe's age and style placed it squarely in the early 1950s. We donated it to the archives, but they returned it. Property of the Henderson estate. They said, "No Hendersons remain in town." That night, I placed that little shoe on my dresser. Safe, I thought. At 1:13 a.m, I woke to the crib's mobile, swiveling in the nursery's light, casting teddy bear shadows across the ceiling where no room stood. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it, but sometimes, when everything's quiet, I swear I hear Mary whispering. If you made it this far, maybe you're not like the others. Hit subscribe and I'll keep the stories coming. Every night at 1:13 a.m, I hear the attic door creak, then the chairs start to rock. When we toured the new build on Sycamore Lane, the developer proudly pointed out the attic hatch in the upstairs hallway. "Just storage," he assured us, "perfect for holiday boxes and extra linens." 6 months later, my parents, away for the weekend, left my sister, Claire, alone in the spacious 4-bedroom home. It was Claire's first time babysitting on her own. At 8 p.m, she bathed our 10-year-old nephew, tucked him into bed, and settled on the couch to watch a movie. The house felt empty without adult voices. Claire dozed off before midnight, the TV's glow warm in the living room. At exactly 1:13 a.m, she awoke to a small creak from above, an unmistakable groan of the attic hatch swinging on its hinges. Claire bolted upright, heart hammering. The living room lay in semi-darkness, TV credits rolling. She clicked the remote, screen black. She flipped the lamp on. Silence, except for her own ragged breath. Creak, creak. The attic hatch above the hallway groaned open again. Claire's hand clenched the lamp base. No thought of calling Mum. Her phone was dead. She crept from the crouch into the hallway. The hatch lay slightly ajar. No latch, no chain. A chill breeze drifted down the stairs. She reached up and shook the hatch. It didn't move. Shrugging, she closed it tightly and returned to the couch. "Stop being silly," she told herself. Claire sat in the living room with a coffee and a book. She texted Mum, "Everything's fine." Still, she kept the front door locked and the TV on. At 1:13 a.m, the same creak, attic hatch, then, below it, a slow, rhythmic squeak, squeak, squeak. Claire froze. The sound came from the attic directly above the living room ceiling. It was a rocking chair, moving back and forth with deliberate force. She dropped her coffee mug, shattering porcelain. The rocking paused. Silence. Then squeak. The rocking resumed, faster, more insistent. Claire's heart thundered. She grabbed her phone, flicked on torch mode, and tiptoed to the staircase. At the top of the stairs, she peered up. The hatch was still flush. No gap, no movement. The sound shifted, closer, over her head, then above the hallway. She fled downstairs, yanking the hatch open. Inside, nothing but dusty insulation. No chair, no footprints, no swing arm. She slammed the hatch shut and taped it with duct tape. The rocking stopped. Claire couldn't sleep. She lit every lamp, tested the security cameras, viewing only empty rooms, and kept the kitchen lights on. She braced herself, waiting. At 1:13 a.m, it began. Creak, squeak. But this time, the sound shifted downstairs, like someone carried the rocking chair to the first floor. She grabbed the living room phone and quietly dialed 911. "If anyone breaks in," she typed to the dispatcher. Voice-to-text on her flip phone wasn't perfect. The rocker's metallic squeal trailed through the ceiling into the room. The dispatcher's lights vanished from the HUD. Call dropped. Claire crept to the base of the stairs. She aimed her phone's flashlight up. Nothing on the landing. Nothing in the hallway. Yet the rocking persisted, now plainly from the living room. Nothing on the landing. Nothing in the hallway. Yet the rocking persisted, now plainly from the living room. Claire opened the front door. No one there. Porch empty. She slammed the door, locked it, shoved furniture against it. The living room's hardwood floors sank under each swing. Claire screamed and ran to the kitchen, hiding in the pantry, phone trembling in her hand. At dawn, Claire dragged me from my sleep, bleary. I followed her to the living room. A single muddy footprint on the white rug, size US men's 10. Sawdust on the floor as if old antique insulation had been disturbed, and duct tape still on the hatch, pulled tight. We pried open the hatch, found the attic bare, save for a single item. A well-withered oak rocking chair leg sawed off at the seat level. No chair back, no seat, just one carved leg, lying like a claw. Late that afternoon, Mum called to confirm plans for the weekend. We told her no more babysitting. She arrived that evening, packed Claire's things, and agreed we'll hire a sitter next time. At 1:13 a.m, Mum slept in the guest room. Claire and I stayed by the living room phone. The house was silent. Then the doorbell. One ring. 2 rings. From the porch camera on my phone, we saw a silhouette rocking a chair back and forth on the stoop. An oak rocking chair, fully intact, occupied by no one visible. Claire stumbled outside, phone held high. The porch light flickered on. The rocking chair vanished. No step, no silhouette, just empty concrete. The rocking never stopped. We never sat in that living room again. We sold the house 6 months later. The buyer wrote in the comments, "Charming fixer-upper with attic storage." On moving day, a single oak rocking chair leg remained wedged behind the sofa, solidly attached as if it had always been part of the frame. We tried to pry it open, couldn't. I keep it on my mantle now, a souvenir of nights I'll never forget. And at 1:13 AM, whenever the clocks shift, I sometimes swear I hear a distant creak, squeak, the attic lullaby, calling me back to a chair that rocks itself. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it, but who or what still rocks those attic boards at precisely 1:13 every night?